Hello, everyone. My name is CCarter, and I will be teaching you today about self, or as our reading stated, this is when the I is introduced to me. So, self is psychologically categorized in three ways: one, the social actor; two, the motivated agent; and finally, the autobiographical author. So the social actor stage occurs at about between 18 months to about 2 years of age and develops continuously as you age. During this stage of self, William Shakespeare said, it's essentially we are actors on a stage. There was a quote that was used, and it says, all the world's a stage and all the men and women are merely players. So we know, or we should know, that humans are social beings and social status and situations are important not only to survival but also to evolution. So at about 18 months, the acting starts. And at about 2 years of age, the words me and mine are often used. I know I've been around 2-year-olds and toddlers, and everything is me, 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 and mine, mine, mine. I'm sure some of you recognize that as well. So then over time, emotions tell the social actor how well they perform. So the author Mead said, the I comes to know the me through reflection. So as a child, he, she, or they notice the simple things about themselves and would describe themselves as such. But as time continues, those things that were once simple become more detailed, such as they'll describe themselves as smart, beautiful, ambitious, etc. By late childhood or early adolescence, the child becomes more aware of the personality traits of themselves and others and is said to classify their taxonomy in 5 broad trait domains, which are A, extroversion or an outgoing type person; 2, agreeableness; 3, conscientiousness or discipline; openness. So your social reputation is incredibly important to the social actor. Considering how your reputation affects you and yourself can cause one to change. So being social or lack of being social can be to one's detriment. I know in many lines of work, being social is incredibly important. And certainly, let's just say, like in sales, knowing how to be social is important. So we'll move forward. The second step is the motivated agent. So during this stage, the self is considered to be acting with direction and purpose. So during this stage, goals and motivation are what kind of fuel the self. So by age 5 to 7, children begin working on goal planning. And as time goes on, and as they reach more towards adolescence, establishing identity is important. What they want and what they value in life becomes more important. So anytime you try to change yourself, it's considered like you're in the motivated agent stage. And I would like to think I move kind of in the motivated agent form of self. And I would say that from adolescence up until today, I have been probably in that stage. So the final stage of self in our reading was considered the autobiographical author. So that is from moving beyond adolescence into adulthood. So Erickson said, to develop identity in adulthood, young men and women begin to reconstruct their past or create a narrative identity. He also said, it says that why the social actor did what it did, the motivational I'm sorry. So it's essentially, it's during this stage, it says why the social actor did what it did, the motivated agent wants what it wants, and how the person has developed over time. So essentially, it's taking um, the social actor, the motivated agent, they're pairing those together to create the autobiographical author, or essentially, it during this stage is making sense of all of that put together. And it's during this stage is when our reading talked about redemption. One of uh, the way I would kind of sum it up is making it make sense during that stage. So the autobiographical author often wishes to move from trial to triumph, and one such autobiographical author that was discussed in our reading is Oprah Winfrey. And many of us know about Oprah's story, which went from trial to triumph. In her story, which she shared um, often during the course of her show, she was a young child who I believe suffered abuse. She had a teenage pregnancy. She suffered from rejection all the way up until becoming the woman she is today, who moved beyond all of those trials to triumph as one of the most wealthiest women in the world. She was at one time one of the most influential women in the world. And we as Americans, or I just think humans in general, love to hear a story about trial to triumph, or from rags to riches, or just a person who was essentially counted out but became a person of great influence that maybe even came to change the world. So the end of the chapter asks two very thought-provoking questions. One being, what is your story? And what kind of narrative are you working on? So I'll share a little bit of my story in regards to coming to Franklin University. So I got my associate's degree in 2007. And from 2007 to 2022, I was on break from school. And so I essentially at 2007 thought that this would be a short break and I would jump right back into school to complete my undergrad. But unfortunately, that was a 15-year break. So to wrap this up, in 2022, I was kind of challenged by a mentor of mine about what I wanted to do, and I told her I wanted to be a therapist. And she said, so how will you become that therapist? I said, I have to go to school. And she said, so when are you going to go to school? And so I just spoke out loud, I'm going to apply tonight. And so long story short, I applied that night and I was able to get enrolled into school, financial aid, etc. And so I'd like to think that I am in the stage of also the autobiographical author. So kind of just working on a trial to triumph story, if you will. Thank you for watching my video, and I hope you enjoyed.